Welcome to the Register's Report. My name is John Buckley. I'm the Register of Deeds of Plymouth County, and this show is about Plymouth County real estate. Our headline for the month was Trends in Real Estate Continue as we start the year in Plymouth County. This show is being taped in February. We'll be reporting on the January numbers of recordings at the Registry of Deeds. I have a great guest in the second segment, Stephen Damon, the new president of South Shore Realtors, and we'll be talking about some of our Plymouth County history. So let's go to the first image. It's an image of sales of property. There were 705 deeds recorded in January, which was sales of property, down from the 885 recorded in December. We stayed about the same as we were last year through January, up 3% over the year before. And so with 1 month of data in, we're at 3%, which is still a pretty good trend in real estate, that it's going up. Next image you're going to see is of mortgages. There were 1,503 mortgages recorded in January, less than the 1,788 recorded in December, down 10% compared to last January. Clearly, there are a lot of people still financing their property through mortgages. However, the number of refinances, because the rates have been going up and people have pretty much tapped out their refinances, have been going down. So last year, we were also down 10%, and that's the reason for it. The next image you're going to see is of foreclosure deeds. We've tracked these issues very closely since the crash in 2008, when a lot of people lost their homes. There were 56 foreclosure deeds in January. A foreclosure deed is when the lender's taken back the property from the individual, and which is more than the 38 in December. We remain 2% more than last January, and it's an issue that's still lingering, though not as bad in other years. The next image you're going to see is foreclosure notices. There were 85 foreclosure notices in January, less than 174 in December, 31% higher, though, for the month of January. So that tells you that lenders are clearing out their files. You're going to see a listing of foreclosure deeds and notices for all the 27 communities in Plymouth County. Brockton, Plymouth, and Wareham have traditionally had the most difficulty. Just quickly, our next training room open to the public for an online training of how to search our site will be Thursday, March 8th at 9 o'clock. If you'd like to be a part of that, call to register. We have 8 spots at 508-830-9290. Be aware there's a property fraud alert you can sign up for free. And if anything's recorded against your property, you'll get an email. We're going to Hull next month, for a presentation on the Homestead Act and issues that affect the elderly. And again, my guest in the next segment of the show is Steve Damon, the new president of South Shore Realtors, who'll talk about the role of South Shore Realtors in the real estate market. So we'll see you in the next segment.
I'm home. Over 1 million Americans at risk of foreclosure have been helped by making home affordable. Find out now what your options are. I'm home where I belong.
When some people struggle with their mortgage payments, they become frozen. But the people who take action are far more likely to get the most positive outcome. Call this free government program for the option that's right for you.
Welcome back to the Register's Report. Again, my name is John Buckley. I'm the Register of Deeds of Plymouth County. In this segment of the show, we always try to do something educational in nature. We've had closing attorneys, assessors, many people in the real estate community, and above all else, we've had a lot of realtors because they are where the action is in real estate. So I have a great guest in this segment of the show. I have Stephen Damon, who's the new president of South Shore Realtors. Welcome, Steve.
Thank you, John. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you to join me on the show.
I'm looking forward to it.
So why don't you start by telling our viewers a little bit about yourself and how you got into the real estate business.
Okay. Well, I moved to the Boston area about 40 years ago. Lived in Everett for several years, then moved here to the South Shore. Prior to getting into real estate, I was in the communications business. I was involved in building a lot of the cable TV systems here and in Boston. And when that got to be a little hectic, I decided I needed to get something that I had a little more control over. So at that point, I went into the real estate business.
Right.
Been in it for 25 years now.
And the company you work for right now is Jack Conway?
Jack Conway.
Want to talk a little bit about Jack Conway?
It's a great company.
Yeah.
It's been around since 1956. Jack built it up from one office to 33. Jack passed away a couple of years ago. His daughter, Carol Bowman, is now at the reins and doing a great job. Matter of fact, the last 2 years, Conway's done over $1 billion in sales.
Jack was quite a man, wasn't he?
He was a pleasure to know. I mean, you didn't know anybody that had any more integrity than Jack Conway. And he always gave to the community. That's one thing that Jack always preached to us as real estate agents, that you have to give back. You've got to be involved in the community. You've got to be involved in your business.
So when we opened our new building, now it's about 14 years old, I ran into Jack right after we'd opened it, and I said, Jack, you got to come down and see the new Registry of Deeds. He goes, well, not only will I come down, we're going to have a meeting of our executive board at the Registry of Deeds. And they came down, and we all went to lunch and had a great time.
Yeah, he was always a good one for meetings, and you could always count on Jack for a good quote. He was kind of notorious, too, that he would invite you to a meeting and then call on you without pre-announcement. Come on up here, say a couple of words. You always had to be prepared when you worked with Jack.
So let's talk a little bit about your new gig as president of South Shore Realtors.
Well, I've been involved with the Association of Realtors on the state and local level probably for about 15 years now. This is the heart of real estate, I think, to a point, as far as being a realtor and doing your business, selling real estate, working for your clients, looking after the interest of the people who are counting on you to help them, quote, find their dream home. And it can be a challenging business. There's a lot of emotion involved, and it's something that you have to kind of dedicate yourself to. With the association, particularly on the national and the state level, it's probably one of the biggest advocacies for home ownership that's out there. We have countrywide, over 1 million agents. In the Massachusetts area, I believe it's somewhere around 23,000. The South Shore Association of Realtors, we have 3,000 plus members. We're the second largest association in the state.
Yeah, that's a very impressive organization.
It's a good group. We have a new CEO, Rachel Tristano, who's quite the motivator. A lot of things have been going on. We just finished a rebranding, renamed the organization, new website, all of this to give our members more access to training, education, information.
So let's talk for a moment about training that you provide to your members.
One of the first things when we do orientation for our new members, one of the first things that they get introduced to is the association's Code of Ethics. The NAR has, our Code of Ethics dates back to 1913. When the Code of Ethics was brought into play, there really weren't any rules in real estate. And so this kind of set the groundwork. And a lot of the codes that we had used over the last 105 years were the basis for a lot of state laws. And this is one of the first courses that the agents get introduced to. When they're there for their orientation, we end the afternoon with 2.5 hours of code of ethics. It gives them a chance to ask questions about different aspects of the business and controversial things that they may run into, and give them a basis of where to start from.
So a couple of years from now, we're coming up with a big celebration in Plymouth County, Plymouth Colony, the celebration of the arrival of the colonists, Plymouth colonists, the Pilgrims, in 1620. And I know that as part of that celebration, there's going to be a lot of attention played to the fact that when the colonists first came, they were all common ownership, and they needed, in one of the starving periods, to change ownership to private property ownership back at that time period in order to survive at the time. And private property ownership in Massachusetts and America has been a big deal ever since, and the realtors are certainly a biggest promoter of that.
It's heart of the business. Private property ownership, private property rights. This is one thing that we advocate all the time on the local, the state, and particularly on the national level. It's through a lot of work by the National Association of Realtors that helped keep the tax burden from really hitting the general public too hard. I mean, there's going to be some changes in the tax law, but there were items that they wanted to take out that we managed to keep in.
Right, I know that. Yeah, that's great.
So dealing with private property can be a complicated situation. A lot of people, they want to own, and it's something that's kind of ingrained, I think, in the American spirit, is to own that home, that dream home.
So let's talk about some of your priorities as the new president over the course of it's a 1-year term, I understand?
1 year.
And I know you've counting the days, but it's a great honor to you.
It is. It's almost too short a time. If you have things that you want to get done, it's almost like you just started them, and the new president's being sworn in next week. So it makes you concentrate on what you want to get done. Personally, I'm interested in increasing the professionalism that we as realtors present to the public. It's a profession. It's not a part-time job. You're handling the largest investment that most people ever make in a lifetime. And you need to be well educated in the business. You need to understand how the transactions work. And you have to look after the best interest of your client. That's your primary job, is to make sure that everything moves smoothly and that your client is treated fairly.
So your duty has remained the same. Your role has remained pretty much the same, but the technology has changed unbelievably, has it not?
Well, when I first started in the business, when it came to MLS, we had to pick up a book every 2 weeks, and it was about this thick. With that book, as real estate agents, we had control. If you wanted to know about a piece of property, you had to call a real estate agent. Today, I don't care what the property is or where it is. You can go online, and if you do your due diligence, if you look enough, you can find anything about anything on the internet, particularly when it comes to real estate. And that has changed things a lot. You'll find that most people start their search probably maybe 6 months to a year prior to talking to a real estate agent. they know what the market is. They know what's going on out there as far as prices, what houses are selling for. And they're a lot more educated than they used to be. By the time they call a real estate agent, they have an idea of where they want to be and what they want to buy. And it's the same for people who are selling. They've looked at the market, they've seen what houses are selling in their area, and they already have a pretty good idea of where that house is going to sell. And the internet and computers have just made it that much easier for them to do their homework.
So when you combine that with the inventory that we've had as of late, the tight inventory and multiple offers and things not lasting very long, I'm sure it's been an interesting year.
Oh, it has been. Multiple offers is just crazy. I had a situation in Middleborough where I had some clients. They had saw this house they were interested in. It came on the market on Monday. The first open house was on a Thursday evening between 5 and 6. We pulled up to the house about 4:45, and there were 50 cars on the road already. And by the end of the evening, they had 10 offers. Wow. And I think just about every one of them was over asking. Prices today are increasing at a breakneck speed. On average, normal increase in prices over a year for real estate's 3-4%. We're seeing 8-10%. I was reading an article the other day, and the first-time home buyer bracket, 200, 300,000, has jumped in 5 years 44%. So I mean, if somebody had a house they bought 5 years ago for 200,000, it's now worth over 300,000.
It's tough to break into for a first-time home buyer.
It is, and that makes it kind of difficult for everybody, because the prices are to the point that some first-time home buyers are being priced right out of the market. And with the market being as tight as it is, somebody that had a first-time home buyer home, and they might be thinking of buying a larger home, they look at the market and say, I'm not going to be able to find a house. And maybe the price is going to be more than I want to pay. So they're staying put, they're doing an addition on their house, or they're upgrading the bathroom, the kitchen, whatever the case may be, and staying put. And so that restricts the pool of homes even more. Construction's been down the last few years. This past year, construction has been up year over year, but it's still not enough to make up the difference. And everything that I've seen so far as projections, that's not going to change for the next year or two.
So I know you talked about them being more educated in terms of having done their search because of the ability to search the internet. Are they all coming in pre-qualified? Do they understand the importance of that?
I would say probably 95% of the people that we run into, when they walk in the door, they've been pre-qualified for a mortgage. They know what they can afford. Okay. And if they haven't been, then that's one of the first things that we do is to get them pre-qualified, because they need to know what they can afford, and so do we. And you get some of the younger buyers that are coming on the market, maybe they do the pre-approval and they're not ready to buy yet. There's some glitch in their credit or something, so we can work with their loan originators, help them straighten out their credit, and maybe within the next 6 months to a year, they'd be ready to buy.
So we're coming out of what is traditionally, on our end, the slower period of the January and February. What do you see for this year's spring market?
A tight market. Yeah. If you're a buyer and you're out looking at houses in this upcoming spring market, you have to be prepared to move. If you see a house you like, you have to be prepared to put in an offer. You can't go home and think about it for a week because the next day it could be under agreement. You have to have done your homework. You have to have an idea of what you're looking for. You absolutely have to have that pre-approval, and be prepared to move, because they're not going to sit and wait.
So can you give, one more tip to first-time homebuyers? I always have a special spot for them. It's so difficult these days. They're many times carrying student loans or other issues and coming into an extremely competitive market.
Be pre-approved and be comfortable with it. And if you can, for a first-time home buyer, if you've got in the neighborhood of $5,000 or $6,000 in the bank, that should pretty well cover your closing cost. But just understand that you're going to have to move quickly when you find a house that you're really interested in.
So before we wrap up, I'd like you to share with our viewers 2 contact points. One, as the leader of South Shore Realtors, in case people have suggestions about your organization or questions about the organization. Can you share that with our viewers?
Sure. You can go online at www.southshorerealtors.com, or you can call our office at 781-826-5139.
And information about your paying job, Jack Conway?
My paying job at Jack Conway, you can contact me at jackconway.com. And if you wanted to call me direct, my phone number is 508-962-4255.
Well, thanks. The leadership that people like you provide to organizations like South Shore Realtors is invaluable. It helps everyone all across the real estate market. And thanks for being on the show.
John, thank you very much. I've enjoyed every minute of it.
This is why you get by on 4 hours sleep. Why you took a second job. This is why you taught yourself how to fix the plumbing and spend hours juggling the bills. This is why you'll do whatever it takes to keep your home. And that is why we want to help. We are making home affordable, a free government resource that can make paying the mortgage easier. Now more options are available. Call 888-995-HOPE to talk one-on-one with a housing expert today.
When some people struggle with their mortgage payments, they become frozen, petrified. Not knowing what to do, they do nothing. But the people who take action are far more likely to get the most positive outcome. Making home affordable is a free government program. Call now to talk one-on-one with a housing expert about the options that are right for you. Real help, real answers, right now.
So welcome back to the Register's Report. Again, my name's John Buckley. I want to thank Steve Damon of South Shore Realtors for the great job he did in promoting their organization, discussing the vital role they have in the real estate market, as well as in his private job with Jack Conway. In this segment of the show, we always try to do something lighter in nature. We talk about the holidays for the month, which was a large number of holidays. Groundhog Day on February 2nd, Super Bowl Sunday, the unfortunate Super Bowl this year, was the 4th, Abraham Lincoln's birthday, the 12th, Mardi Gras, the 13th, Ash Wednesday, the 14th, Valentine's Day, the 14th, Lithuanian Independence Day, the 16th, President's Day, the 19th. So we always do a couple of our notable land records related to the holidays. We have a Plymouth County Registry of Deeds notable land record collection, very famous people and places that are notable for one reason or another. We have a notable record from Samuel Lincoln. Samuel Lincoln came from Hingham, England, and settled in Hingham, Massachusetts in 1637. He is the great-great-great-grandfather of Abraham Lincoln, who we celebrated his birthday in the month of February. He's credited with helping build Hingham's Old Ship Church, the oldest meeting house in continued church use in the United States. And he was a very special person in Hingham. And at the time his property was deeded to him, Hingham was actually not in Plymouth County, but was part of Suffolk County. So we have special thanks to the Assistant Register of Deeds in Suffolk County, Tom Ryan, for getting us a copy of that records from the state archives. The next notable record you're going to see is of a relative important property in Brockton that many people are aware of, the Liberty Tree. The Liberty Tree was a location on what is now Frederick Douglass Way that was the site of the Underground Railroad, a stop on the Underground Railroad. It was actually in a barn of Edward Bennett. And the reason we brought this up this month is we're also celebrating this year the 200th birthday of a very famous person by the name of Frederick Douglass. The street has been later named after Frederick Douglass. But there was a many centuries old sycamore tree on that site which was used as a signpost for slaves escaping from the south to the north. And it was in the years prior to the Emancipation Proclamation issued by Abraham Lincoln in the 13th Amendment, which abolished slavery. But noted abolitionists like Frederick Douglass, William Lloyd Garrison, and Wendell Phillips visited this site, and it was later known for its promotion of other social causes. And last but not least, for a notable land record, based upon the celebration of Lithuanian Independence Day this month, is Admiral Fred Bakutis. He was a Brockton native, went to Brockton High, lived in the village, which was home to many Lithuanians. After Brockton High, he went to the Naval Academy, and he became a very distinguished naval person, including service as a Navy fighter pilot during World War II and commander of the naval forces at both the North and South Pole. He led a naval task force that recovered the Apollo 10 astronauts, but while serving in Antarctica, he discovered a new territory in Antarctica and named it Brockton, USA, Antarctica, in honor of his beloved hometown. Certainly a very interesting fact about Mr. Bakutis and Antarctica. I want to thank Lorna Green Baker and Christine Richards of our office for helping me put this show together. I want to thank Jay Miller and Mike Simmons for working with me on producing this show. We take this show, and it's my 88th show, and burn a CD. It broadcasts obviously here in the Brockton cable station, but we send it to cable providers throughout Plymouth County to share what are important things about, for most people, their most valuable asset, their home. So I hope you had a great month of February. We'll see you in March, and have a great time.